friends, I hope y'all are having a great day today. If you're new, my name's Alicia and today's video is kind of like a pantry challenge or pantry cooking. We just had a lot of things that I wanted to use up. We wanted to just save some money, and so we avoided going grocery shopping aside from getting some household items and milk. So besides that, we just used what we already had on hand, and I think we were able to avoid like doing a big shopping trip for 8 days, I want to say. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoy, and I hope it gives you some inspiration. So I didn't do a very good job at recording our breakfast or our lunches, but we just like to keep things super simple. So I just typed it out, and I figured we could go over it, and then we'll move on to the dinners where I did a lot better job at getting footage. So for breakfast, we had cereal with fruit, oatmeal, eggs and toast, grits with eggs, banana ice cream twice, sheet tray pancakes, and waffles. And each breakfast could have been had with some fruit or even some veggies if someone wanted. Lunches, leftovers, hot dogs, mac and cheese, ramen, pasta salad, sandwiches, creamy vegetable soup, pizza, and of course it could also, we usually have vegetables on the side or could also have some fruit. We had lots and lots of canned fruits and canned vegetables and frozen fruit and frozen vegetables. So even though we didn't have as many fresh, we had plenty of canned and frozen. So now we are moving on to the dinners, and this is night 1, and we are starting off with the number 1 Southern cheap comfort food, and that is a big old pot of pinto beans. Of course, that's just my opinion that it's the number 1 comfort food for the South. However, your opinion might differ from mine, and if it does, let me know in the comments. Anywho, so you can dress these up or dress them down however you want. Well, I guess I should tone them down. I don't know. Anywho, I had cooked a ham that we've had in the freezer for almost a year now because I got it last year whenever it was on a super sale. So I just cooked it in the crock pot, shredded up the ham, and just let all the juices cool, and then I stuck it off in the fridge because I knew I was going to make this big old pot of pinto beans. So I just washed and rinsed my beans, made sure to pick through them, put them off in there with some water, and just cooked it like that. I didn't need to add any seasonings to this. Once the beans were done, they were perfectly seasoned. Now, like I said before, you can have as much or as little for sides as you want. For us, we are doing cornbread and fried potatoes. So now I'm working on my fried potatoes, and you usually want to chop them up into relatively even sizes. If you chop them smaller like my husband does, they'll cook a lot faster. If you chop them larger like I do, they'll take a little bit longer. Either way, they turn out delicious. But once you get them in your pan, you'll want to turn your heat down just a little bit. You don't want it to be like full blast. And you want to let them sit for a little while. That way they get like a nice golden brown. And then whenever you go to flip them, you want to like scoop and then flip instead of like mushing them around. Now I'm making some cornbread, and I'm just using this mix because I found it in the cabinet. Normally I make my own, but since we had this on hand, I figured why not use it. But anyways, I always just follow the package instructions whenever I have a box mix, and it always turns out fine. The only thing that I do that I don't think it says on the package is I preheat my pan. So while the oven is preheating, I just have my pan in there, and whenever it's preheated, I get it out, spritz it with some oil, and then pour my batter in. I find that I just have no issues with sticking whenever I preheat the pan, and the whole cornbread comes out and really nice and clean. I don't know how to explain it, but anyways, I am just adding the milk and eggs like the package says, and then I'm going to get it in my pan. So like I said before, pinto beans are really good to have with all sorts of things. Or, you can do this with any other beans too. I think pinto beans are just like the staple bean. Probably because they're the cheapest usually. I don't know. But, you know, you can have just any one side, or you can have like a lot of sides. But I think that greens are also really good, like turnip greens, mustard greens, collard greens, any green, kale. But anyways, if you don't feel like making anything to go along with it, if you have some saltine crackers, or any crackers really, I guess, you can just crush your crackers up in your bowl of pinto beans with some of the like bean juice, and it's amazing. It tastes so good. You also don't have to have like the leftover ham cooking juices like I'm using. You could use a little bit of bacon grease, or, you know, if you have nothing, you can just cook them in water with some salt. That's really good too. And if you find that, like, whenever you're ready to eat, they're still really soupy, you can just kind of mash some up and it'll automatically, like, thicken it up a little bit. You could also put your beans on a tortilla and have, like, a bean taco or bean burrito. I really think that beans kind of get a negative look, but really, beans are all just blank canvases. You know, whatever you do to them, they're going to kind of just take on all the flavors that you give them. So think about flavors that you like, and then try to incorporate beans with those, because beans are a super cheap filling, full of protein. They also count as a vegetable, and they're just delicious. So now you can see everything for dinner is done. We've got our gorgeous beans, our beautiful potatoes, the delicious looking cornbread, and we are ready to eat. And here's my bowl. For night 2, my husband made salmon burgers. We had some canned salmon. He just added flour, eggs, and seasonings, fried them up. He also caramelized some onions and fried up some French fries that we just made out of potatoes. I made some tartar sauce out of mayonnaise and relish, and then we had some discount bakery rolls or sandwich rolls or whatever in the freezer, and this was amazing. So good. For night 3, we're doing like beans on toast. One of my kids had actually said that they wanted to try this out a while back, so we're trying it out. But this first clip is so dark because it's pretty early in the morning, but I just did pinto beans, tomato puree, and water, and I checked on it periodically throughout the day to make sure it had plenty of water. Then I added some overcooked bacon to the beans later on in the day, and here they are cooked, and here is my bowl. It was delicious. Night 4, my husband made a fancy schmancy pork Wellington type situation, kind of, but it was delicious. He also made some roasted pumpkin on the side. For night 5, I think I'm just doing a teriyaki pork and rice, and so I'm browning up my sliced pork loin in my cast iron skillet, and then I'm transferring it to my Instant Pot. Then I'm adding the homemade teriyaki sauce that I made, and then I'm getting all the fond off the bottom of my cast iron and adding that in. That way my Instant Pot can come up to pressure. We served it over rice, and it was delicious. And I should have made veggies on the side, but I didn't feel like it. So for dinner on night 6, I am making some chicken pot pie soup, and I actually made some pizza on the side because this is the day that we had pizza for lunch, and I always make a double batch of the dough, so I just made another pizza for dinner because we definitely didn't need 2 whole pizzas for lunch. But I just boiled up my potatoes, added some canned mixed vegetables, some cream of chicken. I filled the cream of chicken up with milk. Then I let that warm up, and then I added in some chicken bouillon, instant potato flakes, and some sour cream that needed to be used up. This was delicious, especially for how simple it was and how affordable. So we had this with some leftover bread. Then I topped it with some crunchy onions, and then the pizza. This was a very odd but delicious and super filling dinner. For night 7, I am making creamy pork loin. I had some cream of mushroom soup that I had frozen, left over from the Thanksgiving dinner, and then the other half of the pork loin, and I just served it with rice and peas, and it was fabulous. On night 8, I am using up this one box of hamburger helper that we've had hanging around for a while, and then this half a package of pasta. It was a 7-ounce package, so half of it was about 3 to 3.5 ounces. Anyways, to that, I'm adding milk, water. I'm also going to be adding in the seasoning packet. On the side, my husband is cooking up a couple of cube steaks that he's chopped up and seasoned. And then he also charred up or cooked a can of corn, and then he put it back in the can. And you'll see that in a second. This is a can of diced tomatoes and tomato sauce. And I was definitely thinking it was going to be way more diced tomatoes than sauce, but either way, it turned out fine. Here is the meat cooking. And then I am adding in a couple cups of cooked pinto beans. I'm going to give this a stir and let it come up to a boil. And then I'll put a lid on it and let it simmer. You'll see me put the lid on, and then I also add the meat in and then put the lid back on and let it finish cooking. Once the pasta is fully cooked, you will want to take the lid off and let it sit for probably about 5 to 10 minutes. That way the sauce can fully thicken. And here's the meat going in. I probably should have drained the juice off, but it's fine. It turned out delicious either way. And so now I'm just going to let it finish fully cooking. Once it has fully cooked, my husband put some off in a different skillet on the side, and he stirred in pepper jack cheese and a little tiny amount of crunchy jalapenos that we had left over. We topped this with sour cream, taco sauce, and cheese, and you would never believe that that huge amount of food came from one box of hamburger helper. I hope y'all enjoyed seeing all the meals we came up with from our pantry, and as always, Jesus loves y'all, and I love y'all too. I hope y'all have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.